What is going on, guys? Welcome back. In today's video, we're going to learn how to easily do technical analysis of financial assets in Python. So let us get right into it. Alright, now as always when it comes to financial content, I need to mention here as a disclaimer that none of this is financial advice, none of this is investing advice. I'm not a financial professional, I'm just a programmer, a computer scientist teaching you how to use Python, how to use programming to do technical analysis. So yes, we are going to talk about finance, we are going to talk about the stock market, we are going to talk about buying and selling and about patterns and indicators, but none of this is a call to action. None of this is a recommendation to now go ahead and buy or sell based on a certain pattern or a certain trading strategy, because in the markets, your capital is at risk and you need to be 100% responsible for what you are doing with your money. So again, none of this here is financial advice. Having said that, I'm going to use for today's video a JupyterLab notebook or a Jupyter notebook, an IPython notebook inside of JupyterLab. However, you can use as a development environment whatever you want. You can use the default Python idle, you can use VS Code, you can use PyCharm, you can use a basic Notepad in combination with the command line. I'm going to use JupyterLab here because I prefer running individual cells when it comes to data science, finance, machine learning, and stuff like that. So this is what I'm going to use. If you also want to use JupyterLab or a Jupyter Notebook, I have tutorials on those two things. So either the basic Jupyter Notebook or also JupyterLab, the whole ecosystem that you see here on the screen right now. I have a tutorial on how to use it and what the features are if you're interested. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get an external library called TA-Lib, which I assume stands for Technical Analysis Library. And installing this library is not as straightforward as you might think it is, because first of all, you need to download a wheel file, so a special file that you need to install, and then you need to install TA-Lib via pip again. So the first thing you want to do is you want to click on the link in the description down below. If I forget it, please write in the comments that I forgot to include the link, but hopefully it's there. And this is a link to the University of California, where you can see here we have unofficial Windows binaries for Python extension packages. And what we want to scroll down to is TA-Lib. You can also use Control F and type TA-Lib, I think. And then down here you can see TA-Lib. And here you need to download the respective package for your operating system and your Python version. So what you can see here is you have TA-Lib, whatever, and then you have CP, which stands for CPython. I think PP stands for PyPy, which is a different Python version. So if you have the ordinary Python downloaded from python.org, the default version, you have CPython. And in order to find out your version, you just open up your command line and you type python -- version. And in my case, Python 3.9.11. So in this case, I would go to CP39, and then you have 64 and 32. I'm going to go with 64-bit because I have a 64-bit system. You can figure that out on your own, but usually you're going to have a 64-bit system as well, unless you have some old machine. So you click on this and you download the file, you save it somewhere. I'm going to save it now on the desktop. And once you have the file saved, what you do is you go again to your command line. Oh, this is my JupyterLab command line. So I'm going to open up a new command line. I'm going to navigate to the desktop, and then I'm going to say pip install. And I'm not sure if I can just type the file name here or if I have to specify the full path. But essentially you type that and this installs the wheel file. So in my case, it says it's already installed, but you have to pip install this particular file, not just a name. And then once you have done that, what you do is you also say pip install TA-Lib like that. So you need to do both steps in order to install TA-Lib, and this is a little bit more complicated than just typing pip install TA-Lib. So you need to first get the wheel file here. Once you have that, however, things are quite simple. You only need to import TA-Lib by typing import. Let me maybe zoom in a little bit. Import TA-Lib, and I like to use the alias TA, even though I don't think that it's common. I don't think that this is a convention from the documentation. It's just what I like to use. And we're also going to import a bunch of other libraries that you don't have to use if you just want to play around with some sample data. Maybe you create your own lists. But what we're going to do is we're going to download actual stock data. And for that, we're going to need a couple of libraries. First of all, I'm going to import NumPy SNP. I'm going to import matplotlib.pyplot SPLT for the visualizations. I'm going to import pandas dash, or actually underscore, data reader as web. And I'm going to import, actually, let's do this in the top so that we have the convention. Import datetime as DT. Now, datetime is part of the core Python stack, so in order to use datetime, you don't have to do anything. If you want to use these three libraries, you need to install them. So you open up your command line again and you type pip install numpy, pip install matplotlib, and pip install pandas dash data reader. Now, it's important we import pandas underscore data reader, but we install pandas dash data reader. So we do these imports, and then what we can do is we can get some basic stock data. So what we do is we say, for example, data equals web.dataReader, and we specify the stock ticker symbol. Now, if you don't know the stock ticker symbol of a company, you can just Google. So you can type, for example, Apple stock ticker, or Tesla stock ticker, or Amazon stock ticker. And what we're going to do now is we're going to use Apple. So we're going to say AAPL. This is Apple. And we're going to say that we want to have the data from the Yahoo Finance API, like that. And if we don't provide a time frame with a start and end date, it's just going to get all the data that is available. So I can run this cell now, and I can also type data. And you can see that we now have here the data as a pandas data frame. So we have high, low, open, close, volume, and adjusted close for the respective date from 2017 here to 2022, which is 26th of May, which is today. And basically, high means the highest value that the stock price was at a given day. Low is the lowest value. Open is the value that the price was at the start of the stock market, when the stock market opened. Close is the value when the market closed. And adjusted close is adjusted to stock splits. And the volume is basically the amount of, I'm not sure if it's the amount of shares or the price times the amount of shares that are traded, but basically the volume that was traded on a given day. And we can use this data now to do technical analysis, and we don't have to do it manually. So for example, one of the most simple things that we can do is we can calculate the moving average. Moving average is just the average of the last 100 days, for example, and this is usually something that we like to plot as well. So in order to do that with TA-Lib, that's super simple. All we need to do is we need to say, we're going to create a new field, a new column in this data frame. We're going to call it SMA, simple moving average 100 for 100 days. And this is going to be equal to TA.SMA. And I'm going to pass your data close. So we're going to do this on a close value. And I'm going to say 100 here as the time period. Then I press enter. If I now display data, we can see we have a new column here. The first 100 entries are going to have not a number, so they're going to be NaN values, because of course we cannot take the average of the last 100 values if we don't have 100 values. But if I, for example, say ilog and then 100 colon, then we get the values here, the simple moving average 100. Values here, and of course we can also visualize that. So what we can do, for example, is we can say plt plot data close to plot the closing price, and if we only do that, this is what the price movement looks like. And I can also say plt plot data SMA 100, like that. And you can see that after 100 days it starts with this smooth line. And of course, the more days we have here, so if I change this to 200, you can see that the line gets even smoother. And if I change this to 20, for example, it's going to be more similar to the stock price itself. So let's put this again to 100. That's one thing that you can do. Same thing can be done with all sorts of indicators, like exponential moving average, for example. You do the same thing. You basically say data EMA 100, for example. You can call the column whatever you want. We say ta.ema and then data close and then 100. And then we can basically copy this here and change the S to an E. And we're not going to see too much difference here, but it's a different metric here, a different I'm not sure if it's called indicator, but yeah, a different statistic that we're looking at. And those are pretty simple. We also have some more complex stuff like the relative strength index. which is a momentum indicator. Basically, if you have something, it goes between 0 and 100, and if you have over 70 as a value in the RSI, I think it's percent. So if you have over 70%, basically this means usually that the asset is overbought, and if you have less than 30, it means that the asset is oversold, and you can plot that as well. So what we can do here, for example, is we can say data, then RSI, and what we do is we say TA.RSI, and what we pass here is we pass the data close, and the default is 14 days, which is what is used for the RSI, but you can also adjust this to another number. So if we don't do anything, the default is going to be 14 days. We're going to do that here, and then we can just say, now it makes sense to plot the RSI separately, because the RSI is not something like the moving average that you want to plot with the stock price. You want to plot it in a separate plot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say figure and axes is going to be equal to PLT subplots. And we're going to say that we want to have 2 rows in 1 column. And we're going to specify grid spec is going to be a dictionary, or actually grid spec underscore KW is equal to a dictionary, and it's going to have height underscore ratios equal to 3 and 1. So basically it's going to be 3/4 are going to be this graph, and 1/4 is going to be the RSI plot or the RSI visualization. Then we're going to say figure size is equal to, let's go with 10:6. Maybe that's too small, maybe that's too big. We're going to find out. And now we have here this axis object, and now we can plot to the individual axes by saying axis 0 dot plot, and here we're just going to plot the data, the closing data like that, and then we're going to say axis 1, so the second axis. We're going to plot 2 horizontal lines so that we can see that that we have the 30 and the 70% limit. So what we're going to do is we're going to say AXH line. I'm going to say Y is equal to 70 for this one. And the color of this one is going to be red, because then we want to sell because the stock is overbought. Again, when I say we want to sell, this is not financial advice. This is just what usually is done when using this indicator. And the line style is going to be dashed. So we're going to say line style equals dash dash. Like this. We're going to copy that. We're going to do the same thing with 30, and this time it's going to be green. And then we're going to say axis 1 dot plot data RSI. RSI. And the color is going to be orange, for example. And this is what it then looks like. Essentially, we have the stock price here, and then you can see the RSI, the relative strength index. You can look up how it's calculated and what it basically does, but essentially you can see it's most of the time between 70 and 30, but here and there it says, okay, we should buy, we should sell. So this is the idea. If it's above the red line, usually you want to sell. If it's below the green line, usually you want to buy. You can also look at the stock price and see if that's a good decision. So for example, it says that here you should have sold. Yeah, I mean, depending on when you buy again, if you buy here again, might make sense. Here it says you should buy. Yeah, it's not a magical indicator that always does the right thing, but it's one indicator that you can look at. So this is how you do that with TA-Lib. Then you can also do a bunch of other things like linear regression, for example. So what we can do is we can say data linear, let's do it in caps, linear rec is gonna be equal to TA.linear rec data close, and we can provide a time period of 200 here, and then we can also plot it like here. So basically changing that here to linear rec, and you can see that this also works. So basically the linear regression applied onto the last couple of values, the last 100 values, and then you get a somewhat smooth line depending on the amount of days that you provide here as a time period. Now, another thing that I think is kind of cool to plot is the MACD indicator, because it's a little bit more complicated to visualize here. And this is basically the moving average convergence divergence. And the calculation, I have talked about this indicator in my Triality trading bot video already. Essentially, the idea is that you take the 12-day exponential moving average, you subtract from it the 26-day exponential moving average. This gives you the MACD. Then you have the MACD signal, which is the exponential moving average of 9 days of the MACD, which is the result of the first calculation. And basically all this you can do it automatically by saying MACD signal, and MACD hist for histogram is equal to TA, and then MACD, or actually MACD in caps. And what we pass here is just, again, the closing data. So data close, and this gives you those signals. Now, before we do that, I would like to adjust the data frame. So I'm gonna say start is equal to DT date time 2021, 1st of January, and end is gonna be now. So DT date time dot now. So this is the time frame, and we're gonna load the data again. So we're gonna load some new data. We're gonna say web dot data reader again, and we're gonna load this time the Goldman Sachs stock from the Yahoo Finance API from start to end. And then we're gonna make these calculations here. We're gonna determine these signals and indicators. And now we're gonna do again the same plot that we did up here. So we're gonna have two axes. Let me just copy this fully, and then we're gonna replace the stuff that we did here with we want to plot still the closing price, but down there we want to plot the MACD signal with a blue straight line like that. Then we want to plot the MACD. So basically not the signal. This is the MACD, and then the MACD signal is another plot, another line, which is going to be in my case an orange dashed line. So I'm going to say here color is equal to orange, and it's dashed, and then we're going to say axis 1. And here it makes sense to use the the bar function, even though it's a histogram, because the histogram bins are already the data. So you don't have some data and you make a histogram, but you already have the histogram bins. So you plot it as a bar chart. And for that, we say MACD histogram dot index, which is the date, and then MACD histogram itself. And I think we need to add one more detail to this, because that is what it looks like. Looks actually kind of cool. So you have the basic stock price here, and then you have here the MACD and the MACD signal, and you have the histogram as well. But one thing that we want to add here is we want the positive values here. So when the histogram value, when the bar is above 0, we want it to be green. If it's below 0, we want it to be red, so that we can see this a little bit better. And what we do for that is we say, after we do this, we say C equals red if CL is less than 0, else green for CL in MACD hist. So we create a colors list, and this is what we pass then here as color. And then you can see here we have green, red, green, red. And the basic idea here again is that I think when the MACD is above the MACD signal, you buy. If it falls below, you sell, you buy, you sell, and so on. So when they cross, when the MACD falls below the MACD signal, this is the strategy behind the MACD, is that you sell. And if it goes back up, so if here the MACD goes above the MACD signal, this is a buying signal. And again, you can compare and see if that would make sense. At this point, if you buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here, if that would have made sense over time or not. But yeah, that's the basic idea behind the MACD. And in general, you can get all these functions. I'm not going to show you all the functions here. I'm just giving you some examples. You can see all the functions by typing ta.get functions like that. And then you get all the things that you can do here. And if that's too confusing for you, you can also say ta.get function groups. Now I clicked away, function groups. And then you're going to get them in categories. So cycle indicators, math operators, math transform, momentum indicators, where the MACD is also in there, overlap studies, pattern recognition, and so on. All the different groups here. And if you want to know how a function works, you basically just get that function. For example, we're going to go now with MACD. You use a question mark, you say TA.MACD, and then when you run this, at least in a Jupyter notebook, you get here the docstring, you see, okay, MACD is this function here. It is the moving average convergence divergence, which is a momentum indicator. This is the input. Those are the parameters with the default values, and this is what you get as an output: MACD, MACD signal, MACD hist. Same can be done for SMA, simple moving average, time period, and what you get as an output is here the real. So just number, just one number actually, or a list of numbers. So that's the basic idea. Now, one last thing that I want to show you here, this is a little bit more complicated, is pattern recognition, because pattern recognition is more complex than just having indicators. This is actually recognizing individual patterns. And for this, we're going to use the engulfing pattern. So we can type question mark TACDL engulfing. And you can see here the engulfing pattern. Pattern recognition takes as inputs open, high, low, close. So 4 of the columns that we have, and produces -100 or 100 for a bearish or a bullish signal, and 0 if there is no signal. And this can be used also to see certain patterns, trend changes, or the likelihood of a trend change. And we're going to plot that here with candlesticks. So what we're going to do now is we're going to install a new library. If you want to do that example as well, you don't have to, but we're going to install the library called MPL Finance. So pip install MPL Finance. I have this installed already, but this is what you're going to need to plot a simple candlestick chart. And for that, we're going to use now a new start and end date. We're going to say DT date time 2022 3/1, so 1st of March, and the end is going to be DT date time now. And then we're going to say here data is equal to web.datareader. We're going to go with Tesla. We're going to go with the Yahoo Finance API, and we're going to go with start and end. And this now has the new data. And then we can say data engulfing. I'm going to explain the pattern here in a second. Engulfing is equal to TA-CDL engulfing. And we're going to pass here data open. The order is important, by the way. Data high, data low, and data close. So we can look at the data, and you can see we have a bunch of zeros. We have a -100 here, indicating a bearish signal, and +100 would indicate a bullish signal, a bullish engulfing pattern, basically. So what we're going to do now is we're going to plot a simple candlestick chart. We're going to say import MPL Finance SMPF, and we're going to say now figure and axes. Actually, this is the same that we did before, so let me just copy that here. Let me just collapse these cells. So where is it here? I'm going to use that line that we used before. And now what we're going to do is we're going to say that the colors, we're going to define our own colors, because I don't like to have the white and black candles that are default. I want to have green and red candles, because that's how I like to look at charts. We're going to say MPF make market colors, and we're going to say the up color is going to be equal to #00FF00, so 0 for red, 0 for blue, and FF, which is 255 for green. And then down is going to be #FF0000 for the red code. And then we're going to say MPF style is equal to MPF make MPF style, and we're going to pass here base underscore MPF underscore style. It's going to be equal to Yahoo, so that's going to be the basic style we inherit from, but we're going to change the up and down colors to whatever we want to have. So market colors equals colors. Now I'm not even sure if the default Yahoo colors are not actually green and red, but we're going to do it anyways. At least we'll learn how to customize things. And then what we do is we say mpf.plot, and what we want to plot is the data, and the type of plot we want to have here is candle. And we want to plot this on the axis 0, so on the first axis, with the style mpf style. And then on the second axis, we're going to plot now the data engulfing. Like that. The color is going to be blue. So what you can see here now, and I should maybe make this a little bit larger. So let me change this to 12 and 8 maybe. Maybe even a bit more. So maybe 14 and 10. There you go. So what we have here now is we have candlesticks. Just a quick recap if you don't know what candlesticks are, or if you knew what candlesticks are but you forgot. The lowest point is the low of the day. The highest point is the high of the day. The lowest point of the candle that you have here, of this green or red candle here, is the, if it's green, it's the opening price, closing higher. So this is the closing price. If it's red, it opens higher and closes lower. That's the basic idea of a candlestick chart. So you have 4 values in one candle, which is kind of efficient. And down here, even though that's probably not the best plot to use a line chart, maybe we should use bars or some other indicator, or maybe we should just circle the respective candles. But you can see when it goes down, it basically means that the engulfing pattern is a bearish pattern, and if it's up at 100, this means it's a bullish pattern. And the basic idea of the engulfing pattern is that you have one candle engulfing the previous candle of a different color. So what you can see here, this is a bearish engulfing pattern, meaning that this red candle here engulfs this green candle. We have a green candle followed by a red candle, and this red candle is, maybe you cannot see that easily here, but essentially this red candle is above and also below this green candle here in the middle. So basically meaning that a bearish pattern means that a red candlestick closes lower than the previous day opened. Or no, what was it? It was this upper thing here. So the opening price of the red candle is above the closing price of the previous green candle, and also this the opening price of the red candle is also below the closing price. No, other way around, sorry. The closing price of the red candle is below the opening price of the green candle. So it's engulfing it. That's the basic idea. Maybe we should look at a different candle here. So a bullish candle that we have here, this one would be, here you can see it clearly, this green candle fully engulfs this red candle here. So this is below this, and this is above this. So the red candle can be fitted inside of the green candle. Not just in terms of size, but also in terms of position. So just moving into the right, and it would end up in that green candle. So when a red candle is followed by a green candle that engulfs it, this is a bullish pattern. So indicating that a trend could change to an upwards trend. And the other way around, if you have a red candle, maybe we can find one more here. This one, if this red candle is engulfing the previous green candle, this means that this points to a bearish trend change. So maybe you want to sell here. But it doesn't have to be true. So for example, here you have the green candle, whereas here you have the green candle engulfing the red candle, but still it goes down. So no indicator will give you 100% guarantee that you're going to make money, but this is how you can do that. This is how you can do very simple technical analysis in Python. I just showed you a couple of things here, a couple of indicators, a couple of pattern recognitions here. You can look at all these functions. You can also make your own. But this is a very efficient, very useful library that you can use to easily do technical analysis in Python. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you learned something. If so, let me know by hitting a like button and leaving a comment in the comment section down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell to not miss a single future video for free. Other than that, thank you much for watching. See you in the next video, and bye.